Don't know why my notebook is wasting time. Because the notebook, whatever I write, I can share it as a PDF, but you enjoy the life, man. So I'll rewrite. So first, let's look at the overview. So as I told you, I'll break it into 5 areas. So overview of oil and gas. So overview and oil and gas and minerals taxation. So first, I said look at natural resources, right? No, so. So natural resources. Then the ownership of natural resources. Ownership of natural resources. Let's call it NR. Then come and look at what? The life cycle. You remember? The life cycle of natural resources. That's the exploitation. No, so. Then come and look at crude oil and pricing of crude oil. Then petroleum operations. Sorry. Petroleum operations. Yeah. And the next area is the legal and fiscal regime, right? So question 2, the legal and fiscal regime. So with the legal and fiscal regime, what do we have to know? The legal framework. Okay. So the legal framework, there's a lot under the legal framework, right? And I'll use questions to take us through these things so that it won't be boring reading, explaining. Where we have to visit the book, we'll visit the book. So legal framework, then we'll come and look at the fiscal regime. Yeah. This thing behaving like this. The fiscal regime. Then we look at fiscal elements. Fiscal elements. Look at the fiscal regime of Ghana. Fiscal regime of Ghana. Okay. Petroleum agreements. Petroleum agreements. So fiscal element and distribution of crude oil, right? Crude oil. And then here, this is the biggest area actually, right? Petroleum agreement, stability agreement, unitization agreement. See here is very broad. If I want to break it into 5 questions, so unitization and redetermination. Redetermination. Then we have stability, unitization. Yes, we have the Petroleum Revenue Management Act. Okay. Then finally, we have key players in the petroleum industry, rules and obligations. Rules and obligations. This thing, very important. What's the role of the Bank of Ghana? What's the role of the Auditor General? All those things. You need to know them. If you don't know, most times it doesn't come, but it can take you by surprise. I remember that when this thing comes and people could not even do it. People wait. At the time we are already midway through the class, that's when they'll be chatting you. Which one is this one? Oh, please, I'm coming there. Oh, wait. So after key players, there's another area, but that one the CIT will never ask you. So let's just leave it. I won't even mention it. Then question 3. We look at principles of petroleum, principles of taxation, right? And principles of taxation for petroleum. So understanding principles of tax means you must first understand accounting, right? So the accounting methods is what will start this one, right? So the accounting methods. So yes, please.
You didn't, in the previous page, you mentioned the the stability clauses and the equilibrium clauses.
Agree.
Okay. Okay, it's back. Okay.
I told you it's a framework.
Thank you.
All right. Are we okay? Okay. So the accounting methods, so successful effort and then what? Full cost accounting, right? Then you also need to know DDA, depletion, depreciation, and what?
Amortization.
Amortization. You must know what they mean, how they are applied, and all that, right? So this one can come for a full question. Then you have principles of taxation, right? That's petroleum income tax, principles of taxation, right? So you must know principles of tax. Okay, that goes under section 63. Purposefully, they are going to ask you about ring fencing, right? So ring fencing, almost every diet, you must know about ring fencing. All right, that's where it starts. Then ring fencing includes separate petroleum operations. So ring fencing, then separate petroleum operations. So let's call it PETOP, section 64. Then we come to the most important part, which is exploration and development operations. All right, so exploration and development operations. All right. So exploration development operation section 65. So all these areas actually go together. This is where capital allowances fall because you need to pull everything into a single pool before you can transfer them. Makes sense. So these areas, when it comes to theory part, these are the areas. I'm not going to list everything, but the areas that require attention, yes, those are the ones. Now you'll be getting questions mostly around the filing of returns. Yes, they are going to ask you a question. Decommissioning fund. Yes, they are going to be asking you a question. Decommissioning funds, um, direct and indirect assignment of interest, direct and indirect assignment. Remember that when it comes to petroleum and mining, right, their tax rules are almost the same, almost, just slight differences. So whatever you can apply for petroleum, unless specifically stated, it can be applied to mining as well. So if you know one, you can do the other one. Okay, so you have direct and indirect assignment of interest. Then you have usually disposal of petroleum rights, but just let me just put income and expenses under petroleum. We are going to actually look at all that income and expenses under petroleum. Then finally, we come and look at relevant financial cost. Okay, relevant financial cost. So literally under principles of taxation petroleum, this is also a big area. But it's not big like the question two, like the one we saw, right? So this is a big area. Then the fourth area is minerals and minerals taxation, right? Minerals taxation is also a big area. Now, when it comes to minerals taxation, everything you see here is still there. But then you must understand the fiscal regime of minerals. Okay. The same way petroleum had a fiscal regime, minerals also has a fiscal regime, right? So, like the fiscal regime, you should know how minerals work in Ghana. I getting it. The various licenses, in Ghana, what are the kind of licenses you can have under minerals? Yes, start mentioning them.
Recognizance,
Reconnaissance license,
prospecting, and then
prospecting
mining.
license, and mining lease.
Are you sure it's only mining lease? There are more. Mention the rest. Small scale, small scale mineral license. Okay, it's also there. We have service support license. Nti that means I'm exam now you could be some small scale on the service support and mediegu.
The argument if I want to write.
Okay. Please, are you there? Right, and then let's go. Why is this guy? Why is this guy? Why is this guy? Please write. Oh, this is a framework. Oh. If you write, there's no way you fail. Me, you see, always I use frameworks. I don't just teach you random things. No. If it's in the framework, it's coming. You get the idea?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so once you understand this, there's a bit of other things you have to look at, but the chance that it will appear is possible, not probable. So I'll not even mention them. Then you come to principles of taxation. And when it comes to principles of tax for minerals, okay, what you should be mostly expecting is ring fencing, right? Ring fencing, that's looking at separate what? Mineral operations. Okay, so separate mineral operations. This is where you are going to talk about a mine is a separate mineral operation on its own. Okay. Two or more mines sharing a processing facility where you dig a hole, okay, or you start exploring under reconnaissance license and you start prospecting under the same license. That means it's the same operation. If you are doing prospecting and you later get a mining lease for a well you were digging, it's still the same operation. These are all separate mineral operations. That's what the law says. It's that easy. Okay, we'll dive into it. Don't worry. I'm just giving you a brief overview of like the whole thing so that you know oil and gas. There are other topics, but those ones, if they'll come, it to be 5 and 10 marks, right? These ones are heavy. It means that your chances of succeeding are here. Then once you know the same way, here instead of decommissioning fund, we have approved rehabilitation fund. Very important. That's abandonment of fields. I told you abandonment of fields is everywhere. Then we look at what we call relevant financial cost. I wrote it at the other side. It's still here. Okay. You have income and expenditure under mining. Income and expenses you have to know because mining usually you are going to compute taxes, right? Then withholding taxes, very important. So withholding taxes under petroleum and minerals, very important. In these areas, don't joke with them. Nowadays, they've seen that students are used to the normal trend. The thing has become too predictable, right? So now they'll be doing bluebird. How old are you? They'll be picking from these things and bringing them. It may be possible that you go tomorrow, you go and meet something 2 days later, right? I believe Thursday. You go and meet something new you haven't seen before. Don't be scared. It's just the same principles, but you are playing with your mind small. You get it? But make you no shiver. And God day, you go be. Are we okay?
Yes, sir.
Good, good. So, and then filing of returns. So the filing. Then there's one BOSU. There's one BOSU, which is what? Reconnaissance and prospecting operations, right? This is the same as that exploration and development that we saw, right? We put them into a single pool. Does that make sense? Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Big bad wolf, which is on its own, but always it comes hidden somewhere. Mineral royalties. So you see, I put it in capital letters. Mineral royalties is the only topic on its own. Though it's part of minerals, it can come on its own from 5 to 15, where you just have to compute royalties and comment. Okay, so this is everything about minerals taxation you need to know. Okay, there are other minerals like gold deposits, diamonds, timber, fisheries. It can be anything, but the process is still the same. Then we come to question 5, and question 5 is miscellaneous areas. But when it comes to miscellaneous areas, what can they really examine? One is FPSO. So you should know FPSO. Business types, okay? So they can tell you what are the various business types that you can do under petroleum operations, joint ventures, companies. Are you getting it? And the rest, they'll get a partnership in way distinguish between a partnership and then what do we call it? A company. These are very simple questions. Then think capitalization, or let me just put here anti-avoidance provisions. So anti-avoidance provisions are also here because you know petroleum companies are one of their multinationals. They like to avoid taxes a lot. So you must know anti-avoidance provisions like transfer pricing, TP, not detailed transfer pricing like you do in international tax, but like the application of the arm's length standard. And then think capitalization. Usually, yes, that's where they go. Then you must know about leasing, okay, because petroleum companies and mining companies lease a lot. So leasing, you make reference to section 30, regulation 17 of the income tax regulation LI 2244. Okay, then there's one area, it's rare, but once a while they ask you questions on them, which is the allowable deductions, right? That we know from normal way, including things like residence. You see, everything you are doing in tax is actually examinable here, right? Residence, permanent establishment, petroleum companies usually deal with these things. So these ones are all miscellaneous areas. It means anything can come there. So if you like check the trend, all the time there are miscellaneous areas, whether you like it or not. There will be a miscellaneous area, and it can even be a calculation. Last night, they brought the production sharing contract. Ghana doesn't do production sharing contract, but they brought production sharing contract question. Meboa. Those who have seen the paper. You saw, right? You saw, right?
Yes, Prof.
So it tells you it's miscellaneous. Though it's under fiscal regime, but it's an area that doesn't apply. So let me see if I have the production sharing contract. Production sharing contract. Please hold on. I'm checking if I have it. I think I had it too, but I don't know where. Please hold on. I'm coming. Where did I put this question? Yes, it says no. Wow. I compiled it, but I don't know where I've put it though. Please, if somebody has last night's paper, the person should share with me. Let me see. If you have last night's paper, please share with me.
Oh, Prof, it's not with me here. It's hard copy. I'm also not in the house now.
Okay. If somebody has it,
Yeah.
forward it. I want to show you something. Please, I hope by now everybody has written. I hope you have all written. So we can start today.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So we start with natural resources and resource exploitation in Ghana. Okay, there's a question they will ask you to discuss the concept of resource blessing with resource scarce paradigm and its relevance in the context of petroleum, right? So when we talk about the resource blessing and resource scarce paradigm, this refers to the situation where we here have natural resource abundance, right? But this natural resource abundance, other people are exploiting it and we are not using it. That's the resource scarce. Resource blessing, we have so much resources. Are you getting it? But we haven't put together proper policies. We only end up with what? Corruption, economic volatility. Are you getting it? People benefiting, this white people benefiting from our resources, and we not investing in proper human resources to take advantage of it. So, I mean, you know what is happening in the system, right? When they ask you these questions, feel free, go that extreme. Makes sense. I believe that is fine.
Yes, sir.
Good. So, what then is the resource scarce? They can ask you about the resource scarce. Now, the resource scarce refers to the failure of natural resource rich countries to benefit fully from their natural wealth, resulting in slower than expected economic growth, poor social economic welfare indicators, governance challenges, and factors that can lead to this is oil price volatility, which mostly disrupts our budgetary planning and investment, the Dutch disease, which means resource export inflate the local currency, making other sectors what? Less competitive. Okay. So these are this is what we call the resource scarce. Okay, so they can ask you a question on the resource scarce. It's mostly economic. When you see our syllabus, there's something called petroleum economics. And the deep economics that used to be there, they've taken it out. Now it's just theory, like what is the resource scarce? What are the challenges associated with the resource scarce? Some of the challenges are economic growth. Countries who rely on natural resource exports often experience slower economic growth compared with those with diverse economies, right? This is one of the problems with the resource scarce. Two, social welfare. Resource-rich countries frequently exhibit poorer social welfare indicators. True or false? True or false?
Prof, true.
So
No, true.
can you throw more light on it? How we experience social welfare problems?
The money that will come out from the generation, like what's the oil and gas is supposed to give us now. Some few people will just be mismanaging the resources, and
It doesn't.
the general public doesn't even get some of any benefits from it.
Okay. I'll take it. Okay, good. Then we have corruption and governance. This I don't need to talk about it, Anamebwa. Oh, we still need to talk about it. Okay, someone should read the point and let's go because the resource case they can ask you is part of what you need to know. So let's start from 3 because we know 1 and 2 already. The challenges.
Corruption and governance. The influx of resources revenues can lead to increased corruption and poor governance. The wealth from resources can create rent-seeking behavior, where individuals and groups vie for control over resources revenues rather than investing in productive economic activities. So 4, environmental impact. Resource extraction often result in significant environmental damage, including deforestation, pollution, and loss of biodi- biodiversity.
Oh, okay. Right.
The focus on exploiting resources can overshadow environmental concerns, leading to long-term ecological damage. Conflict. Resource wealth can exacerbate conflicts, both internal and external. The competition for control over valuable resources can lead to violence and instability, as seen in various conflict-ridden regions rich in mineral and
Please,
oil.
can throw more light on that point, the 5, the conflict. I need that point to be well explained. Yes? Who can throw more light on it so that we move?
Okay, so I think that's conflict in the sense that, let's say for instance, Ghana, I have a land. Once we've defined oil on it, they say the government says I don't have any rights over the land. In some regions, it brings fights because the land is for me. So why would you come and take it from me and not give me anything? And then you see them driving in big cars and all that, and you're not even getting anything. It brings conflict.
Any different? That's very good. That's one of the conflicts. But any different perspective on conflicts? Any different perspective? So the same question can come in different forms. Look at this. Is the resource scarce an African problem or does it have global implications? Explain the criteria used to measure the resource scarce and discuss its inverse relationship with economic growth. Do you see? How different is it from the first one? The same, right? True or false? So in simple terms, what's the resource scarce? What is the resource scarce? Yes. What
try.
resource scarce?
Having resources but not benefiting from it.
Okay. Having resources in abundance but not benefiting from them. Okay, that is good. So oil reserves, can they ask question on oil reserves? I doubt.
Prof, they do.
Eh,
They do. Explain the following: porous, drywall, rainfall,
oh,
wall, development wall. They ask.
yes, that one I know they ask, but those ones are not reserves. Anyway, let's look at it. Discuss the
Prof,
class.
please, I've shared the 2025 letter sittings question with you.
Okay, I think about a couple of you guys have shared it.
Okay.
Thank you. Now, discuss the classification of oil reserves and the level of certainty associated with each category. Okay, people hear reservoir, reserve. What does it really mean? Who can explain? What is a reservoir and what is a reserve? What's a reservoir and what's a reserve? Who can help me to distinguish between a reservoir and a reserve?
Okay, so I think the reserve is the producible part of the oil in a reservoir.
Good. That is it. So if this is the rock of hydrocarbons, right? You know, sometimes there are some rocks here, right? Which can, it's like when you put soap in water, the volume goes high. Maybe what? No, be so. So you would think that, okay, this is the quantity that you find here, but maybe because of these rocks, it is shifting the quantity, should have been here. Then you see the oil hovering on top. Now, the gas, sorry. Now, what we say is that in this whole basin is the reservoir, right? But the amount of oil that can come to the top is what we call the reserve. Okay? The one that cannot come to the top because of these rocks is the non-producible oil. Makes sense? So the producible one, I get it, is what we call the reserve. So the sum of the producible and non-producible give you what? The reservoir. But we only know what comes to the top through what we call the recovery factor, how much we are going to what recover. Okay, and this is how much of producible oil over our total what reserve. Do you understand? Total reservoir. So your reserve over your reservoir is the recovery factor, telling you how much of the oil can come to the surface. Did you get it? Even those that can come to the surface, there can be a problem with them.
Prof.
Can you hear me? Oh, what is this? Can you hear me?
Wakasegum from
Oh, I'm saying, hey, yes, I'm being correct. I don't know what I'm saying. I can't recall. I'm saying this that if you go to the exam, right, and they ask you about reserves, the questions are normally not going to be strictly reserves. They'll mix it up, like write short notes, those kind of things. Do you get it? This is a summary of what I said. So when it comes to reserves, all your reserves are classified based on the level of certainty regarding their recoverability under existing technological. You know how much can come to the surface, right? But sometimes you can't get it as specified. Do you get it? So we can break them into proven reserves or unproven reserves, okay, which have further subdivisions based on the confidence level of recovery. You know this can come up to the top, but it depends on the probability. So we have what we call proven reserves. And proven reserves refer to oil quantities that have high degree of certainty. Are you following? Proven reserves have what? A high degree of what? Certainty of being recovered, being brought to the top. So under current economic conditions, legal frameworks, and available technology. So they are the most reliable and are typically used in financial reporting and planning and budgeting, because you know that these ones have at least 90% chance of coming to the top. Does it make sense? Does it make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So these proven reserves can be broken into proven developed reserves and proven undeveloped reserves. So it's like if I have my proven reserves here, I can have proven developed reserves, and I can have what? Proven what? Undeveloped reserves. Make sense? Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So the reserves that are already accessible through the existing wells, infrastructure, and operational facilities is the proven developed reserves. Okay, this one you don't need an additional investment to extract them because they're already at the top. Do you get it? So oil already being extracted from active fields, the chance of recovery is very high than one which is already under some bedrock you have to go and extract. Does it make sense? Does it make sense? Does it make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Then we have proven undeveloped reserves. This one you know that it can come to the top, but you have to put in some extra work to bring it to the top. Look, I used this example the last time. Some people laughed at. One person is, cow feet, kotoje, right? You know that some people are chewing. There's the meat on the surface, right? And some that are hidden, but they are in close proximity, right? You can pull it with your teeth. Then there's one that is hidden far, which people like to find. Then they'll be doing, right? That one is the proven and developed reserves. You need to put in extra effort. Sometimes some people even go and take toothpick or spoon or fork to pull that meat from the marrow, right? I'm just using it as a hypothetical example, but it makes sense, right? So this one, yes, you know it can come out, but you have to put in some sort of investment, right? So a newly discovered field, or even a field that you're already working on, you realize that there are other quantities of oil somewhere that can come to the top. It means that you have to invest further to bring it to the top. Does it make sense? I hope it makes sense. So when it comes, that means you can have the knowledge of literally bringing this up. Make sense? So I hope we all understand what proven reserves are. And they can be broken into what? They can be broken into what? Oh,
Into two.
Developed.
proven developed and proven undeveloped, right? So the next type of reserves are unproven reserves. So unproven reserves are the ones that are less certain, okay, due to economic, technological, or geological factor. You know that this oil can come to the top, but you don't have the technology to bring it up to the top. So we have what we call probable unproven reserves and possible unproven reserves. Now, the probable ones are the ones that have 50% chance of being recovered based on geological and engineering analysis, right? Then we have the possible ones that have 10% probability of being recovered. You know that it can come, but the chance that it will be recovered is very low. There are additional reserve classifications, but I don't think CIT will go that far. CIT is just basic oil and gas. They don't go deep, like I put here anyway. So that was the reserves. Then we look at pricing of crude oil. What is going to ask you about the oil types? Yes. So the